Um, Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Phillips. I'm a Student Affairs Program Manager here at UAGC. I will be the host of this session. I'm going to fade into the background in just a moment here. But the session is titled Welcome to Our Faculty Lounge, a one-stop a la carte shop where everything is free and a limit does not exist. It's actually a really great title. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC related materials. We already hit record, okay? What else? Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you'd like to use it, click the Show Captions button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now I am pleased to introduce my esteemed colleagues and passionate colleagues, Dr. Joan Burkhardt and Dr. Wendy Conaway, with their presentation. Welcome to you both. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. And I'm going to start off here. So I'll say hello, Joan Burkhardt. Thank you all so much for coming. We're so grateful. I'd like to start by just briefly sharing how we think our share today fits with the conference theme of open access higher education culture. So as most of you know in the room, probably, UAGC is committed to helping folks rise. And one way we do that is via open access admissions. Letting folks in the door is kind of the easy part, though. Empowering our students to feel that they belong here and that they're right where they should be is the hard part. Our students need a level of one-to-one support to persist and thrive that is unlike any other I've experienced before, particularly in their first suite of courses. And our course, Digital Fluency, is the second course in their programs typically. So our faculty are brand new student supporters in the every single day. So open access and support is not just limited to our students, though. By using an open access approach with our faculty, we support our open access students. As full-time faculty, Wendy and I are committed to supporting our associate. That's what we call our part-time faculty. One core strategy we use is what we are excited to highlight today, our faculty lounge. And our mission is to provide our associate faculty with current, comprehensive course material grouped logically by task. You'll see this in just a couple minutes. But right now, I'd like to hand off to Wendy to provide a bit of background and context.
Thanks so much, Joan, and hello, everybody. So glad to have you here to hear about our marvelous faculty lounge. The faculty lounge is a concept that isn't really that new to me, particularly. It was a seed in my mind for many, many years. For those of you who may date back quite a while, we had originally considered helping our associate faculty work smarter, but not harder. We had adopted an idea of creating a model classroom in e-college. How many of you guys remember e-college? Way back then, before we had Canvas. One of the things that we tried to do was just simply take a classroom in e-college and populate it with resources and ideas that we felt would benefit our faculty to help them work smarter and not harder. This is even particularly important nowadays with our entry point students, because those of you who have taught entry point courses realize that we're pretty heavily populated. We have upwards around 40 to 43 students in a course for our second course in the sequence. And as Dr. Burkhardt said, our students are new. Our students are just entering their academic career, and the culture of care and the fact that we need to give them more nurturing support than we normally would in a classroom that's later on in their program really puts a strain on our time. So what we decided to do is to create and develop what we affectionately call the faculty lounge, to offer a number of different resources to help our faculty model good teaching practices, give them suggestions that they can follow in order to apply that to their own classrooms. Because we understand that developing their own materials can be a little time consuming. And if we have new faculty who haven't got a lot of experience teaching our course, having these models for them and having resources for them really do help fuel their initiative to think about how can I creatively create these resources for my class. What we were able to do when I became the lead of Gen 102 was to bring this idea to life in the faculty lounge to make it accessible and user-friendly. In a few minutes, you'll see where the lounge is located and learn a little bit more about what is entailed in that lounge. Now, we created the faculty lounge as a canvas shell that the associate faculty will have populated in their dashboard. So whenever they go to access the tile for their course, the tile for the faculty lounge for our course is there as well. So we made it very seamless, very easy for them to access. Now, our faculty lounge really started with the bare necessities. It started out being just tips and tricks, just a few on a weekly basis that we wanted to share with our associate faculty and our full-time faculty as well. And then as it grew, we added resources. We came up with ideas that we thought would benefit all of those who were teaching Gen 102. So we also included ideas that faculty and associate faculty came up with, and we incorporated and gave them their ideas as well. One thing I would like to stress very clearly is the faculty lounge is not a required resource. We want to make it very clear that everything in the faculty lounge is there for our faculty to use. If they want to use it, that's great. If they don't want to use it and they want to create their own material, that's wonderful. We just didn't want anybody to feel like they had to use any of the resources. We just wanted to give them a library. Whether or not they visit the library is up to them. As I said, our faculty lounge grew and grew and grew, and it started to become a little bit cluttered and a little bit unwieldy. I was so fortunate when Joan came on board as our core faculty, because I said, Joan, how do you fix this? It looks just like a very disorganized library. She says, oh, don't worry, I can fix it for you. And she did a phenomenal job. At this point, Joan, I'm going to hand it over to you and talk a little bit about what you were able to do.
Well, you flatter me, but it's what we do. And I'd like to share my screen right now and show you all. Da, 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 da. We are so proud of this. This is our faculty lounge. Before we get into exactly what's here, I want to talk just very, very briefly about the design elements. We ran into trouble, as Wendy said, keeping everything formatted properly. So we introduced ourselves here. And as you can see, we have things up here, weekly support group by week. Wendy will dive into that a little bit more deeply in a second. Then we also have general support. And this is where it started getting unwieldy because the buttons in Canvas, as we added them, started going all over the place. If someone's looking on a mobile device or someone's looking on, an iPad or whatever it is, they would skip all over and there'd be 2 up here and 4 down here. It just looked a mess. So luckily I had used Canvas in my prior position, but the way we roll, Wendy and I both is, and part of our course in Gen 102 is to get in there and to start playing around. And as long as you didn't click submit, who cares, right? You haven't messed anything up permanently. So I went in here and just started playing around. And what I discovered was by creating a simple chart in Canvas, I was able to keep all of these buttons beautifully organized like this. And it's been amazing. Now, interestingly, this might surprise you. It really surprised me. One thing I've done in the past when you go into advanced features in the chart is that you can elect to have the chart lines disappear, or you can make them a different color, or you can make them thinner or fatter. I chose to make the chart lines, grid lines disappear. And when I did, the formatting went wonky. Didn't make sense to me because that only should have removed the visual lines, but for some unknown reason. And then there's my moment of panic that I just clicked submit because I thought it was going to be okay. So that was a nightmare, but we got that fixed in no short order, as you can tell. So I'll mention that. That was an easy way to do it. Another thing we do is Canva is one of our favorite tools that we use. And every single button you will see in this faculty lounge, and I'll take a little look down here. We tried to use a specific theme. You can see it's kind of like colorful with like a retro spin, right? Every single one of these buttons was created in Canva and then simply screenshotted and pasted in here. And there are many options in Canvas that you all might know about, or in Canva that you might not know about. And I would encourage you, as we do our students in Gen 102, to get in there and just start playing around. Like I said, as long as you don't click submit, nothing lost, nothing gained. Just start seeing the functionality and what you can do. And that's essentially how this grew and how we kept this under control. So I'm going to stop my share right now so that Wendy can go over the top section of the faculty lounge, weekly support.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I will see that people can hopefully, there you go. Now you can see it. I wanted to show the dashboard first because I wanted to show that it is simply a tile in the dashboard. When we add people to the faculty lounge, that's when the dashboard appears next to whatever courses that they're going to be teaching. For the faculty lounge, as Joan had indicated, I'm going to be talking about our features in the weekly support section. And you'll see that we have, I like color. So I like to keep everything. I'm also a very organized person, if you can tell. So I like to keep everything color coded so that we have a really good idea of what belongs in which week. So let's dive in a little bit to see what the weekly tips look like. Here are the weekly tips. And what we did, first of all, you'll see that this image that we chose for weekly tips is the same image in weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We wanted to make sure that there was a consistency across the board. In the weekly tips, we created it as an announcement. And basically, we've got it broken down to tips for the introduction, tips for the discussion, tips for students when they are about to embark on the quiz, tips for the assignment, the written assignment, the skills inventory, and additional insights. So we've got a lot of helpful suggestions and tips that really work well for our newer faculty who are facilitating this course, and also for our veteran faculty who may have, as I do sometimes, little mental lapses where I go, well, what did we used to do for this part? I'll go here. It's like, oh yeah, there it is. So it's definitely indicated here what we expect and suggestions. So this is going to be the same format for weeks 1 and week 2. You'll see this. So you'll see it says week 2 weekly tips, etc. So we, as I said, we want to make sure that it follows the alignment. Now for the announcements, we have the same type of idea where we have free samples. And we wanted to reiterate the free samples because we are encouraging faculty, if you want it, use it, take it, share it in your classrooms, because we know that these announcements are very well done. They encourage, they include inclusive language. They encourage critical thought. So we want to make sure that we model what we're expecting of our faculty. When we are providing these announcements, we give them an idea. First of all, we identify what the announcement is, and we give them a snippet of what is it going to look like when I put it in my class, because I don't know about you, but I kind of want to know what it's going to look like. And if I like it, when I see it, it's like, okay, I can do that. And then we provide the HTML code. How easy is that? The only thing that we ask our faculty to do is to make sure that they change and put their own email address or whatever identifying information they need in there before they post it. I've seen a couple of times where faculty forget to change it and it says your email address on there. I was like, oh no, you need to change that. Here is a picture of our technology forum video and the HTML code, a technology forum email, or excuse me, announcement saying some information, HTML code, and you'll see that there are clear images that folks can use in order to add whatever they want to add to the announcements. So we've talked about tips, we've talked about announcements, and the last thing I want to talk about are the week 1 in-text comments. So we've given a lot of in-text comments, which we can encourage our faculty to include in Waypoint. So they can create their own little summary, an in-text comment, and save it in there. They're welcome to use any of these that they wish. We have taught this course so many times that we know a lot of what the students demonstrate in the course. So we try to bring out some comments that will be helpful for our faculty to include when they're grading specific assignments. So week 2 in-text comments, week 4 in-text comments, you'll see that we've got all of these things. So it's really very helpful to be able to use verbiage that we have used ourselves. And then you'll notice in week 3 in our course, we do not have any kind of a final assignment. So we are just mainly having a placeholder and reminding our folks to stay positive and recharge your batteries. All right, I have gone over the first part and I will turn it over to Joan for the second. You're muted.
I knew a cough was coming, that's why. So I'm going to share my screen again. Thanks for bearing with us a little bit here. So I'm going to scooch down here to general support and give you a little bit of background as to why we added this. So as Wendy mentioned, it started getting a little unwieldy because what happened is as associate faculty would ask us questions or need support, every time we respond to an associate faculty, we save that response and we save that inquiry for future use, but also so that we can keep an eye on themes that are emerging. If a lot of associate faculty are reaching out to us about incompletes or are reaching out to us about extensions or reaching out about high Turnitin matches, right? That's an opportunity for us to say, okay, we really need to add a button in the faculty lounge. This isn't just a one-off or a two-off, right? So this is how the general support section came to be. They ask, we respond, we save, we take these trouble spots, and we make a themed button. And just for a minute here, I'd like to go through some of these themed buttons so you can see. We have general sample announcements that aren't necessarily by week, but can go anywhere in the course. Broad feedback summaries, tech forum feedback, all that stuff. But what I'd like to really highlight here is our faculty teaching requirements highlights. The reason I really like this, trying to click on it here, the reason I really like this is because it reminds faculty what is essentially expected for them and with the IQR in mind. Our goal is to be totally transparent about how they are evaluated and what expectations are. We never want faculty wondering, or teaching to the test. Is this what I should be doing? You can do what you want in there as long as you are meeting these requirements. Post this up to 50% of that. And so we have this set up so this is the minimum, but if you want to really take it the extra mile and go to that distinguished status and really, take it out of the park, this is a way you can do that by including personal announcements, or you might have personal videos responding in the discussion board with videos instead of just text, mixing that up a little bit. But this is a nice way for us to be transparent and really let faculty know anytime they have a question about, am I doing this right? Is this what I should be doing? They can just simply pop in here and check. This is a new button that I actually added because one thing I noticed is I wasn't getting a lot of student responses to my posts on the discussion board. And as you all know, that can be frustrating because we put a lot of time and thought and effort into crafting those responses. And I keep a list of who I responded to each week so I can make sure that I'm hitting, if I can, if they're posting every student at least once, hopefully twice throughout the course. And they weren't responding. So I was like, okay, I need to do something to try and draw students' attention to the fact that I've responded. So what I started doing is at the end of my response post, I post a meme. And so what I did is I went ahead and this actually took a while because there's a lot of inappropriate memes out there. That is actually part of our week 4 discussion forum, is we asked them to select a meme and discuss it in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion, and ethics. And why or why not? This is a good example of being a good digital citizen, and to tell us essentially what they think about how diverse, how equitable, and how inclusive it is. So in order to model this to our associate faculty and to our students, every single meme in here, I have vetted. So if you see something that's off, let me know. I have vetted to be sound, to be a good example of good digital citizenship. So I have the basic, kind of benign fall or Halloween ones up here that I just used. But then I spent a lot of time going through these motivational and inspirational quotes. And I have 6 in a row. That is on purpose because the minimum responses, faculty are required to respond to a minimum of 6 students every week. So having 6 of these means I've already given them a solid base foundation of 6 memes they can use. So it's just reminding them to do 6. And I tried to be as inclusive and motivating as possible by having voices from different cultural communities, different ages, different time periods in history, and really focusing on be scared and do it anyway. That was kind of my theme, that you're stronger than you think, be really good so they can't ignore you, pushing them outside their comfort zone type thing. And then we go on to some more cute animals if you're in the mood for that one week, because who doesn't love an Arctic fox? This girl loves them. And then finally, some generally fun memes. While I was doing this, I noticed that there was a little snafu when you try to copy or an image to embed into the discussion board. It can be difficult to do that from Google Docs. You can only do it. Now, interestingly, you click on it in the Google Doc and the pop-up comes up that says copy. But then when you try to paste it, it won't paste. So I did a little troubleshooting, and apparently that's a known issue among Google Docs, which is very frustrating. So as the document user, I can copy, I can go down and save it to keep and do this, crazy thing that takes an extra 15 seconds, but is still annoying. But if you're not the document holder, what I suggest people to do is just download the document to Word and then copy paste. So again, having this here is a way for us, given that we teach digital fluency, to model. Wendy and I both create things like this for our students all the time. If they're having trouble with something, we'll create a little tutorial, or this is easier to explain to them than walking them through it, via textual instructions. So we did this for our associate faculty as well. So that's the memes. That was a recent ad, and it's just been a lot of fun. A lot of students reach out to us about makeups and incompletes and too high Turnitin matches. So we added that recently. Part of the reason those are recent is they've always been here. But what happens is we had this little button here that said common and atypical student questions and feedback we give. And so again, that's where we save all of these questions and responses. But what ended up happening was it just got to be too much and unwieldy. And so we parsed these 2 out. Finally, we have supporting military students. And this is very, very important. And you'll note that I use Google Docs for all of this so I can make quick changes. And that's very easy to do, and it happens in real time. So essentially, our goals are to model best practices in student support and invest in our faculty's growth and development, ensure consistent positive experiences for students, and importantly, free up time so that faculty can provide that one-to-one support our students so desperately need. Open access means sharing, organizing, and regularly curating our resources and helping our associate faculty feel comfortable, open to ideas, and they really get excited that they have that time freed up for student support. A lot of them have expressed immense gratitude. They share their ideas with us, we add them, and this is the way we also demonstrate inclusion, by including our associate faculty in the process of making the course and the resources better. And it really appears to engender a sense of belonging among our associate faculty with both our team and UAGC generally. So by providing our faculty with comprehensive open access support, our goal is to support our open access students to persist. And Wendy, I'd like to hand it off to you.
Thank you so much, Joan. That was fabulous overview. And I would like to see how many folks maybe have this type of resource in your classroom, and how many of you would like to have this kind of resource in your classroom. I'm looking at the chat. So, oh, Kimberly runs the Liberal Arts Faculty Lounge. Well, great, Kim. If anybody is interested in putting this together or putting something similar to this together, let us know. We'll be happy to help. We've got some great ideas. We can help you organize it. Joan loves this kind of stuff, as do I. So we'll be more than happy to help guide you through the process.
Hey, Wendy, Stephanie Hild-Fisher had a quick question about the memes. And I don't know if you can answer this, Joan or Wendy, but do you cite and reference those memes when you post them? How do you credit them? It's really hard to cite a meme because that's why they're memes, I guess. But that's an interesting question.
I try to also model using fair use memes. So that's an easy way to get around. That's one thing we talk about with our students too, is making sure that we're using, there's so many layers to this. It's fair use, it's DEI, it's ethics, it's all these things. So that's how I would get around that, is making sure that you're looking in commons and places like that that are open for fair use.
All right, do we have any other questions? If anybody, we've got 3 minutes. If anybody has a question, wants to come off mic. Or come on mic, is that right? Come off mute, that's it.
Or post it in the chat as well.
Okay. Ronald says he would like to have this for management 330. Let us know. We'll be happy to help you, Ronald.
There are a few things I enjoy more. That is my happy place in life. Does not feel like work to me. Actually, in fact, I have this nasty habit of getting neck deep in Canva for the weekend. And that's not like to be funny. That's legitimate. I look up at the clock and I'm like, oh, that's not good. So if you really are interested in doing that, please reach out to me, because those pet projects are things that sort of reveal the geek that I am, I suppose. I'll geek out on that for a weekend.
And I put our email addresses in the chat. If you need anything, if you want to reach out to us, we are more than happy to help. Or if you have any suggestions of something that we may have missed in there and would like, and you think, well, that might be something to add, let us know that too.
Thanks so much, Joan and Wendy. We really appreciate it. Very interesting, fun, useful resources. Thank you to the audience for your participation in today's session. Please use the survey linked in the chat to nominate TLC presentations like this one for conference awards, and share your feedback on the entire conference experience. I'm going to hit enter, and that feedback form will come through right now. You should see it. It's an office form. I just want to thank Wendy and Joan. Thank you so much for being here for this presentation. And thanks to Andre running tech in the background. We really appreciate it.